Most people are just chatting with AI and they're not really building systems with it. And what I mean by this is systems from how you think with it, your philosophy behind the AI, how you're interacting with it, and what goes on in your personal life and especially your business too if you're running one. The problem where most people go wrong is when they're just treating it as if it's just a simple chatbot. They have this one chatbot on, say, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and it's just really a chat interface where you just interact with it and that's it. But the thing is, in 2026, the biggest difference that separates the 99% from everyone else is when you actually interact with the AI. You give it tasks, you give it skills, you use different platforms that are agentic in their nature. Have you heard of Manus? Have you heard of tools like Base44 just released their new super agent capability? Have you heard of or used OpenClaw? Have you used Hermes? There are all these various different agentic frameworks out there. Like even Perplexity Computers got their own new one. And a lot of these AI companies, they're rushing to get people and their hands on agentic AI, which makes the biggest difference in what's happening right now in AI. But the thing is, people are still using it wrong. And the problem probably is because one, they don't understand the nature of how to work with it and what you can ultimately unlock in terms of your productivity gains, how much time you can save, how much more money you can save from, say, your expenses or operating costs. And there's so many advantages that you can get that don't just limit you to chatting with it. But now we live in a year where there's so much opportunity and potential for those people who reach the activation point of being able to actually make the most out of AI. Because if you're not doing that, you're being left behind. And that is a big key mistake, especially moving forward in 2026 when there's so much happening every single week at this point, every single day. The biggest shift that you can make, and I want to start off with the foundations, is because if you have the wrong philosophy approaching this all, everything else already has a second order consequence, which leads to a point of failure, right? You're just going to fail from the very beginning because if you don't have the right philosophy when you're approaching or working with AI, then you're already at a loss because you're using the tools wrong, you think about them wrong, and if everything is wrong from the foundation, then you're already at a loss. So the point here is I want to bring you back to the foundation of how you want to approach and think with AI, because when you can think differently, you can operate it differently, right? It's like getting an update to your own operating system when you look and perceive AI. Like, what can you actually do with it? So the very first thing I want you to start thinking about differently when it comes to using AI agents, implementing them, is you want to think of it as if these are extensions in terms of what your capabilities are, what you can do. And there's a theory out there, and it's called the extended mind theory. And what this theory goes over is that the theory posits that human cognition is not confined to the brain or the body, but it extends into the physical environment. For instance, go outside without your phone. Go outside without, say, your earbuds, or to the gym. Go to a classroom without your backpack or notes or any of that. You're just going to feel like something is missing. Or maybe say go to a lecture or some classroom without your note-taking tool like Notion or Obsidian or whatever you're using. You're going to feel like there's something missing there. It's because that our minds, through this theory, that what it posits is that it extends into our physical environments. Whether we're using software tools, whether we're using, say, physical devices, or even now when it comes to AI, because these are extended cognition and tools of our own intelligences. And what this ultimately means is that if you can train yourself to think differently how you approach the AI, you can have a better output and redesign your whole entire life so it's more efficient, more productive, and ultimately more freeing from just, say, doing work that you hate doing or your team is not doing to the degree that you want it to do, or to make it more systemized. So the reframe here is not about learning the better prompts. It's not about learning about like this whole master file or extension that you can add to your AI to like make your life better, right? Like that's not going to solve your problem. It's really just going to the foundational root so you can restructure and rethink how you use the AI. Like what's important to the AI? It's giving it context, giving it a brain somewhere, storing this context somewhere, right? So like building out your second brain so then you can plug in the AI into it. So OpenClaw is perfect for this because if you use OpenClaw and say you work with it over time, it learns about you, you build these various different automations. You can always, this brain that you're building, this database of knowledge, you can always take it with you somewhere else. You can take it to another agent, like the new Hermes agent that kind of released recently. You can take it to a more future advanced AGI that somehow releases. The thing is, like, what happens right now if, say, you go to a new platform or something like that? What happens? It knows nothing about you, which is a massive problem. And the way you overcome that is by having a strong foundation of, like, where's your context being stored? Where's the memory at? What are you doing with this? How does any of your softwares or your integrations or systems that you create around your life interact with this data? That's one thing. Now, another area is like when it comes to actually building things out, because now we live literally in a point in time in history where you can literally create things with just ideas. And that is so powerful because for like the past few decades, it's all been gate capped, especially in the software world with developers, startups. You needed it to be technical. You needed to be a developer to do things. But now with tools like Claude Desktop, Claude Code, say any agent framework you're running, or any of these vibe coding tools that are available online, you can literally create things with your imagination, whether it's say music, whether it's video, whether it's actual software, whether it's just personal tools, whether it's internal operational dashboards, whether it's systems, whether it's automations. Just recently, I needed to pull data in a very unique, special way across various different providers. And what did I do? I vibe coded the whole entire thing that no software right now can do for my specific problem. So I vibe coded everything. It pulls all my data on a daily basis. It refreshes it. And now I don't have to go across all the various different platforms, go to Google Sheets or buy some crappy sheet from say a virtual assistant and then, make something someone else made work for me. That's not what I want. I want something specific to me. I want my own tool. So the thing that you have to realize here is now whatever idea or problem you have that just comes to your mind, you can literally just go to the AI because it's a tool at the end of the day. If you can extend your thinking into the tool, you can become more productive. So you can just go to these tools, and these tools can literally create anything in your imagination. It can solve your problems. You can create apps. You can create wealth for yourself. You can create things that made no sense to create before because it would take too long and there's no ROI, to now where you can just vibe code it in a matter of minutes. And one example is, I forget what the website is, but there was this website out there where it was like, leave a comment if you just farted and what kind of fart was it. I know it sounds so goofy, but no one and their mom would create that sort of app or software before because it just takes a lot of time and it might be ridiculous to do so in the first place. But this person created it and they made like their first $100 or whatever in a matter of months through like affiliate commissions. It's absolutely ridiculous, but no one would create that. But the point here is that whatever you have on your mind, you can literally create now because the AI is just an extension of you. If you have the proper foundations, if you know that you don't have to say do everything yourself anymore, you can just vibe code it. You can just literally copy and paste all your problems. You can just record transcripts of everything you're doing. You can just paste it in your journal. You can give it all this information in context and just permissions to run your life on autopilot. It's going to grow with you. It's going to build its memory base with you. It's going to find efficient systems to work your life out, to make things better. And it really just starts from the foundation of that you have to be comfortable of letting this AI into your life to enable it to do these things. Because it's like, say, you're a top CEO of this massive Fortune 500 company. And at some point it comes to the point where you have to maybe hire a CEO, or maybe you have to hire, say, like a executive assistant, someone that can see everything in your life, your bank account, your personal information, your personal calls, maybe say access to specific accounts that you wouldn't let anyone else to do. But that's why there are services out there and there are people out there that do this for, say, like some of the biggest entrepreneurs in the world because they just don't have the time to do that. It's just not worth their time. So the thing is, like, how can you do that here with AI? I'm not saying like you just give it access to everything, right? And I know what I'm about to say is kind of contradictory, but in the beginning, you want to kind of figure out what makes sense to give it access to and what doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure if it makes sense right away to give access to your bank account unless through like an API backend or something like that. You know what I mean? Where it can like fetch data and stuff like that. Or maybe you use a tool that can pull and source everything together. That kind of makes more sense and it's a bit safer versus just giving it to the AI right away. But at some point, you want to let this thing have more access into your life through your history, your notes, your journals, the businesses you're running. Because at the center of it all is going to be this AI assistant, this AI intelligence. And the more context and information it has, because it literally just lives and breathes off data, the more it can personalize a report to you, a piece of information, a response to you. You know what I mean? Like, when we go to therapists, the reason why they're so valuable to us is because they have so much information about us. They have all this context, our history. They know our problems. They think about it. They process our thoughts with us. So the same thing here is with a super powerful AI assistant. If it has all this context, all this information, tools, access to integration, it could do all these things with us. There's like no limit in terms of what this thing can do for your life. So from the philosophy to building with AI and agents, to then automating and, say, buying back more of your time, creating efficiency. I've been creating a lot of videos recently on, say, buying back your time, delegating, outsourcing, eliminating work. So I'm not going to really go too deep into that, but that entire area also exists where, say, if there's so much going on in your life and you want to buy back more of your time, you want to remove people from your time, you want to remove people from your business because perhaps, say, they're not doing the work that you're looking to do. They keep on flaking on you, or they just leave abruptly at some point and they just don't ever respond to you. Like, that's happened to me plenty of times with virtual assistants. But guess what? I don't have to worry about that anymore, because now I have AIs and automations in place that I don't need a virtual assistant for anymore. You know what I mean? So the question to you is, how can you get this applied to your own life too, so you don't have to worry about these problems? Especially if there's just ridiculously simple things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis out of habit, where now you can put an agent in place. Like, if you review your day every day, can you create like a hook for Claude Code where it reviews your journal every single day, it reviews everything, all the notes you've taken today, any platforms you visited, and then what it does is it just creates an automated full journal about your whole entire life. Like, you can have these things fully automated with just hooks inside like Claude Code or any of these other tools, or maybe just a simple automation. So it's really about finding what you're doing on a current day basis where you can just completely remove it from your life, put an agent in place, and then boom, you don't have to worry about it anymore. You can free up your time, spend it with your family, go out there and travel, go do whatever you want. It's just anything other than work. And I'm not saying work is bad. I'm just saying find how you can remove tasks that are taking up your time, that don't really bring much value, but are kind of valuable inherently in itself, if that makes any sense. Whatever you don't enjoy doing, whatever is taking up the most amount of time, put an AI in place of it. Put a system in place of it. Delegate, outsource, automate. Actually, the proper sequence of how you should think about it is first eliminate, automate, and then delegate. Don't automate anything you can delete, and don't delegate anything you can automate. And the thing about what's happening now in history is that now, for the first time in history, you can not only just automate things with AI, but you can also delegate things to AI agents, which is like the next level up of the evolution of AI. So before you even delegate to a human or to an employee or to even say a virtual assistant, figure out whether or not you can delegate it to an AI agent. It's a crazy time we're living in. There you go. This is the video. I wanted to share a bit of a philosophy that I have when it comes to, say, working with AI agents, how I think about systemizing things, building things with them, and letting them more into my life. Because when you let these things in more into your life, you have the proper context to feed them, you have the proper foundation, and you're working with them as if they are these extensions of you. And they become as powerful as you can imagine them to be when you give them the capabilities. Like, think of skills and tools like apps for iPhone or Android or whatever phone you're using. They give your tool new capabilities and functions and solve problems in your life that otherwise it wouldn't do from a stock perspective. So the same thing here applies to AI. Like, these are the new apps. When you apply and give your AI different capabilities, skills, context, information, it could do more things than, say, buying a stock car can. You know what I mean? Like, when you get the car upgrades, when you modify the wheels, the engine, the performance, all these things, same thing applies to an AI. So when you modify it and make it more specific to what your life is, what your life requires or needs, you can make these things as powerful as you can imagine them to be. That'll be all for the video. See you in another one.